All right, so guys, we are rating Mellow the Yellow's custom deck. Here we go. So we got the LS archetype. This one's sick. What is this? This one's sick. Whatever this one is, this one's awesome. We got LS Hammerhead. Level 1 fish tuner, Jake, Goaty. Alright, so when this card is normal special summon, already, this card can miss timing. Very important. I don't know if this is like a reborning archetype. If you want to reborn all your stuff, but this card does miss timing. Very important. You could discard a card from your hand as cost. Okay, so then there's also a cost in this. Add up to 2 LS cards from your deck to your hand. Then you're locked into waters, going after the effect. Okay. A couple things about this card already. It has not the good stat lines. It is a tuner. I'm assuming you did this. It's a when effect because you're going to be reborning this from the graveyard. So because of that, I assume that is why it has the when effect, which I already think is a downgrade of quality. With that being said, I think it should, again, if you had to make this, like, I don't know if you're asking me for changes or you're asking me for my thoughts. This should not have the discard effect. I think that is way too fair. It already misses timing. It's already once per turn. It already locks into waters. Because waters is a pretty big restriction. I like it though, because like you have access to all the water cards. You have area. You have all the water cards. So you have all of them, which is really cool. You have an enemy, all the mirror incest cards. You have the rank 4s. You have shark stuff. So the world is really your oyster in that case. So I think the discarding is a little fair. Because it also adds up to 2, which I don't hate that. If I were you, I would just make it so it's not a when. I think that's the easiest fix. But if you want it to be a when so that you can't loop it with like reborn effects, which I guess is a fair thing, then I would just remove the discarding because I think that's way too fair. LS Mr. Turtle. The art's kind of nice too. We have a level 3 fish, non-tuner, 1200 defense, cool. If you control only LS, what does LS stand for? Please tell me, I actually don't know. If you control LS or H2O, which is really cute, this is an inherent summon. It summons from hand. One thing I would recommend already, definitely have an effect that says you can only do this once per turn. Because right now the way how this reads is as long as you if you have 3 of these in your hand, you can just summon all 3 of them, which is really good. LS stands for Longshore. Ooh, I like that. Longshore H2O. I like that. So yeah, my first recommendation for this card is make it so that you can only summon it from your hand once per turn. Because again, at the end of the day, if a card has an effect, you want it to have an effect for a reason. And so if you're making it so that you can summon it from your hand as much time as you want, there needs to be a reason for that. You know what I mean? So if there is a reason for that, then that's fine. I'm cool with that. But like, you just want to make sure there's a reason for everything. And it's H2O H20, the number. Oh, okay, H20. Is that a periodic element, or am I just making... Like, I get it. The whole bit is that H20, H2O. I get it. No. That is not how the card works. This card says you can only use each effect once per turn. This does not use, this just summons. If you're gonna have this, you can only summon it from the hand once per turn. After this sentence, you need another sentence saying you can only special summon LS Mr. Turtle this way. That is how you make it fair. During your main phase, if a monster is special summoned, okay, this has the GMX effect. Okay, I don't know if you read the GMX cards, the new dinosaur support in the TCG. This has the exact same clause. I really like that. Discard a card for costs. Synchro summon using cards you control, including an LS or H20, which is of course this. And if you control one LS or H20 synchro monster, you can also use cards from both sides of the field. Okay, I love this card. This card is awesome. It has a very interesting effect. If you already have a card on board, which means if you didn't play into cards like Fua, if you did play into cards like Fua, you get a cool payoff. This is awesome. This is my favorite card so far. I think here the discarding is fair. Just keep in mind, like being able to I'm cool if you're discarding off effects like this. I'm not cool if you're discarding cards off this because you're already adding. You know what I mean? Like, it feels bad when you have to add you activate a card to add, it gets Veilered, it gets ashed, you cry. But when you're using a card or purged, if you're using a card like this to summon, you can use it on both turns. So this card's awesome. This is the best card so far. I love this card. All right. Next, we got Alice Ninja Lobster, the lobster. All right, level 3 fish, water. Alright, ignition effect. During your main phase, you can special summon this card and 1 level 4 lower from your hand. Okay, is that worded properly? I think it is. Actually, it's not. Okay. Alright, just, I don't think it is actually. Alright, just so you know, I think you have to word this a little differently, technically. Like, you're just making this for fun. I totally get that. But I think in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! PSCT, or PSC, whatever it is, I think you technically have to, like, because if you have it so it says during your main phase, this means it's on the field. I use that wording from another card? Okay. Then I might be wrong. But I'm pretty sure this has this. It activates on the field. I could be mistaken. Because cards like Canine Jokel, that card says reveal this and a card in your hand is something from hand. Cards that Reborn also target cards in the graveyard. I'm assuming you don't want this to target. If that's the case, I would just have this so during the main phase, you can have this card from your hand, and then you can summon this from your hand in the water. That's what I would do. Very simple. That's just a PSCT thing, not going to affect how the cards worked. If this card is specialed or normaled, discard up to 2 LS and H20 cards as cost. For each discarded card, summon... Ooh! You can only use each effect once per turn. Okay, so yeah, other than the PSCT thing, I think this card's awesome. I understand. So far, I'm getting at you're discarding cards to do things. That's really cool. I totally get that. That's awesome. I also like how this card says up to. That's really cool. I think cards having up to is really fair. It makes it just a lot more interesting, and you don't have to play hard into certain cards. So this card's awesome. All right, next we got LS Snail, Aqua Tuner. All of these, no, these have all been fish. This is the first Aqua. Level 1 Tuner. If this card is summoned, normal special, you contribute 1 LS monster, special summon 1 water LS or H20 from the deck. You are locked into waters. You can only use this effect once per turn. An LS monster, Xyz monster with this material gains this effect once per turn. When a spell trigger is activated, detach 2, negate and destroy. Excuse me. Okay. So right off the bat, that is a very powerful effect. Sorry, the second part. Becoming a spell or trap card negate is very strong. It is also once per turn. So unless the Xyz monsters have you can only use each effect once per turn. This technically is not once per turn. I think, right? No, it is. It is once per turn. It's once per turn per copy. Yeah. Anyway, on summon, tribute. So it can tribute itself, summon 1 from deck. So it's just an E-tally. But obviously, you don't want to do that because you want to tribute something else so that you can Xyz summon it on top of something. Yeah, this card's awesome. I'm actually curious to see how you Xyz summon because, I'm assuming it's just level 1s and 3s. But if this is the case, then you can only Xyz with these. Which these two don't really work together, right? Because if you normal this, add this, it doesn't really do anything. So you have to use other engine to get to it. So awesome. But yeah, all these monsters are really cool. So I'm a fan of these so far. And I'm assuming like the top ones, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Mello, but I'm assuming the top ones are like cards like you're pretty firm on, and the rest you are trying to fix. Next we have LS, and it means, I forget what it means already. Longshore. Longshore Mother's Embrace. Continuous spell. When this is activated, add an LS monster. Okay. If you Synchro Summon with your opponent's monster, you can banish 1 LS monster from your graveyard, and this card gains that card's quick effect. Ooh, that's cool. I think you have to word this also a little differently, because this card gains that card's quick effect. That has to start a chain. So I think this needs to have a colon. I'm pretty sure this needs a colon, because like a card has to, like, unless it just activates on a new chain, maybe. Yeah, I would just have a colon right here. And then this just banishes something. Oh no, sorry. Banish. Have the colon. Don't. Yeah, you don't need a colon. You don't need. I think. That's just H20. Oh, I see. Okay. This card's interesting. I don't know, how does it resolve though? Because if happens on a new chain. So this just banishes itself. Oh, this card gains. Okay. So like, after you synchro summon on a new chain, you just banish and then resolve the effect? Because if so, that's really strong. I don't know how that actually works in gameplay wise, but that's a really cool idea. This card better have a... Okay, and this card is discarded. Summon a LS fish from your deck or graveyard. You can only use this effect of once per turn. You can only activate once per turn. Okay. This card is really strong. I'm really liking how... I'm assuming all the spells are going to have, like, this card is discarded, it does something, which is really cool. So basically, if you're discarding this off your effects and it gets ashed, you can use this to still summon something. This card's very strong. I guess the only thing I'll keep in mind is just be careful with all the cards summoned from the deck, because this summons from deck, this summons from deck, this can add from deck, this also... Oh, this doesn't summon from deck. This also summons from deck. So you have a lot of cards that summon from deck. So just keep that in mind. Like, maybe make this just so it summons from graveyard. Yeah, I'll probably just make it so it only summons from graveyard. Because it also makes sense, because you're gonna have guys in graveyard because you already synchro summoned. So I would probably just make this so it only summons from graveyard. I'm gonna be honest. All right, here we go. Oh my god, there's so many sentences. Here we go. LS Mother's Godly Rage. Continuous spell. When this card is activated, you can special summon one LS from your hand or graveyard. Okay, that one is fine. I'm cool with that. Just you want to be careful on how many cards summon from deck. You know, you don't want to have too many. If you synchro summon using an opponent's monster, and that monster was one of these cards, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Pendulum, or Link, you can then activate one of these effects. If multiple monsters were used, you can activate each. Okay, so this does something for what you use. That's really cool. And then question, does this only uses one monster, right? No, you can use monsters on either side of the field. So you can use multiple of these. All right, this is a really interesting board breaking idea. All right, so this is like cross shape. So if Ritual Summon, draw, discard a card. So this is cool because if you discard something, you're kind of cooking with this. Because when these discard, you get the benefits off the spells. That's really cool. Fusion Summon, banish a card in your opponent's graveyard. Synchro Summon, take control of a monster, banish during the next end phase. Xyz, attach up to 2 cards your opponent's controls in the graveyard. Pendulum, choose one card, monster card type, and for the rest of the turn, you can only special summon that monster card type that was previously chosen. Special summon LS H20 from your graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. Okay. This card is awesome. Also, again, I was saying this in the beginning, you want to make sure your deck has like a game plan. And I definitely see the game plan. You want to discard cards, you want to summon cards from graveyard, you want to summon preferably synchros, I think, right? You want to summon synchros and then maybe some Xyz monsters during your opponent. You want to summon synchros on your opponent's turn, Xyz on your turn. I get that. Really cool idea. I guess the only thing I will say is you probably want this to be a little fairer. I think this does something on everything, which is pretty good. And this is kind of mimicking cards that are doing, like, rituals typically want to draw, so that's why you do this. So I really like that. If you just summon use cards from the graveyard, like, all the cards have something to do with the mechanic that is summoned from, so it's useful again. So I really get that. But I think you want some of these to be a little more fair. Mainly because, like don't get me wrong, it's really good to get something off an effect. But I think you really want the value to come from getting multiple things. Like if my opponent has a Synchro and Xyz, you're getting the Synchro and Xyz effect, which is already really strong. So I think having 2 effects be the plus is really good versus the not. I really like the Ritual one. The Fusion one probably should target. I would change that. The Synchro one's really broken. I would probably just change this entirely. But this card's actually cool. I actually think it's this one. So this one should probably target too. Pendulum, I would change because this is a floodgate. I would probably just make this an attack modulation thing. Like, I hate giving cards just fluff effects. But I don't know. I don't really like this effect, to be honest. But if that's what you're trying to go for, I get it. And then if it's Link Summon, you could summon one. I would just change this. I would just make this attack modulation. All right, let's get into Synchros. And then, I don't know if I'm going to read all of these, but we'll see. We have LS, Gaia's Tempest. All right, so Fish Synchro, not a tuner, and you want to use this plus... you want to use one of the two... So the ones with the tuners, the 3s, are the extenders, and they are non-tuners. Okay. For this card's Synchro Summon, you can treat one LS Xyz monster as a level 1 tuner. Or, ooh, okay. I see what you're doing. This is awesome. I like this. I really like the idea you have here. Detach one. Wait, what? Quick effect. You can detach one Xyz material from a monster on your field. Pop a card. That's really strong. That's already strong. That's already really strong. When a card is activated in response, negate. Okay. Another thing too about card design, I really want to make my own cards because like, this is interesting to me. I think this card is really broken. I think having the second effect is way too much. I think honestly, if it didn't do this and it just has a quick effect, detach an Xyz material, pop something, I think that's already strong. Another thing too is I think also this is not once per chain. Damn. Yeah, I would I'm gonna be entirely honest. I would just get rid of this effect. I think this is way too strong. Also, generally, I'm not against having negations, but I think having too many is really strong. And this card already is a quick effect pop, so I don't think it needs this negation effect. But maybe make it so that you can banish this card in your graveyard, target a card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Simple as that, because at least then you could destroy this and then add something back if you really need it. If something gets added, you know what I mean? Next we have Longshore Mother of Beginnings, level 4 Aqua. Stats are 24 2k. This one was 2k 25, so very interesting. Again, I think just to make sure this isn't generic, I would just make it so the tuners and the non-tuners have to be water or one or the other. If this card is special summoned during your turn, you could target. Okay, so this activates. Target 2 LS. Oh, okay. So this is the one that adds back. If this card was special summoned during your opponent's turn, banish 2 cards in their graveyard. During your opponent's main phase, synchro summon. Okay. And then if you wanted to, maybe make it so that if this card is special summoned, you can tribute this, special summon monsters from your graveyard. Or maybe just on summon 2 guys from graveyard. That's what I would do. Awesome. Yeah. No, like, this is actually really cool. We should do this more. This is awesome. Yes, I think this is all. I already think this is more fair. Honestly, yeah, if I were you, I would just make it so this just summons too. The only problem with doing this is you're locked into waters, right? So you have the entire water card pool. So maybe you can have it so that it says, while this card's on the field, you can only special summon LS monsters. And then it makes sense, because then after you synchro summon with this effect, it won't be on the field ideally, and then you can summon other guys. Because this deck is I think it's supposed to be like not a control deck, but it's supposed to be like a grindy deck. You're trying to grind out your opponent. And it's like all these cards are good, they're extenders, you want all this to be at 3. One of them is an interruption, you want to have engine to like to Xyz, you want to synchro, so I really get that. And I also like the levels you chose. You can't make like cards like Kraken. Alright, let's move this along because we're taking a lot of time on this. LS General Chow. 2 level 1s. Again, probably don't want to make this generic, especially if this summons from the deck. So I would definitely make this take waters. Or you can make it so it takes aquas. No, you can't. I would make it so it takes waters. This is way too generic. You know Bahamut or like Bahama Shark. Bahama Shark's way too broken and it's generic, so I would make it so this is waters. Or at the very least, if you want there to be a bridge, then go for it. Otherwise, maybe make this LS monsters. Like, this is really generic. During your main phase, you can target one monster your opponent controls. Use that monster and one card you control as material for an Xyz or synchro summon. Yeah, this card's awesome. I love this. You can use once a turn. Well, that's fine though, because like you want to summon this and then use this during your opponent's turn, I think, right? But yes, that does change things. You can't use both. Okay, that's fair. 2+ level 3s, 21 Sea Serpent. This card is Xyz summoned, add an LS. If a material is detached, target one on the field except this, attach it. During the main end phase, if you control 5 or more materials, attach up to 3 cards from opponent's graveyard to Xyz monsters you control. Wow, that's awesome. Okay. This card's fine. Again, just you want to be careful with cards being generic, because this card being generic means Tenpai could play this. You know what I mean? They're not going to, because you already have the locks. But like, you just want to keep that in mind. It's very important when you're making a thing. I'll switch to LS and H20 monsters only. Yeah. That's what I would do. Because like you don't want this to be another slop deck. You know, you want this to have this identity. It's already locked to an archetype, so you already have that. But like, you know, new series. Ranking your custom archetypes. I don't know. I've always had this idea of making having people make their own archetypes. All right, Mello, thank you so much for showing me that.